Oh, hello, and thank you so much for joining us for this particular episode of Convenience Talks. I am joined by Martin Rouse, who's retail director from Payzone, and I'm Katy Moses, co-founder of KAM Media. Martin, for anybody out there who doesn't know you, doesn't know Payzone, do you want to just give us a brief introduction in your own words?
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Katy. A good introduction that describes me very well. I look after the retail network in Payzone. In case you don't know, Payzone manage card and bill payment services as part of the post office. And I think an important point to make is that Payzone itself is a retail network, but we also manage bill payment clients across both post office and Payzone, the combined network. So we provide those services to independent retailers, multiples and symbol groups. And in essence, customers can pay gas and electric bills over the counter, top up smart meters and mobile phones, purchase travel cards and play the lottery. You may be surprised to know that Payzone's been around for over 30 years in its various guises. News to me, actually. But we've been in post office ownership for the last 2 years, and it's our second birthday next week. So it's been a really interesting and challenging couple of years, and not without its difficulties, but we've also had some pretty big achievements as well. I would mention British Gas. We became, through Post Office and Payzone, the exclusive provider for bill payments for British Gas, processing about 1.5 million transactions a week. It's really big. We also won Scottish Power smart metering, and the next 6 months for us look really, really exciting. And on the back of some of those wins, we've managed to grow the Payzone network by over 2,000 stores since January this year. So really exciting times for us.
Thank you so much, Martin. And I mean, growing by 2,000 stores in the first couple of, since January this year within a global pandemic must have been quite some challenge. What happened to Payzone during the corona crisis? How did the business sort of immediately change? Because presumably, especially since you're doing bill payments and you're very local, you're very much part of the community.
Yeah.
I mean, presumably, that did change for you as a business. So what changed and how did you cope with it?
Well, it did. It changed massively. And I think before I get into the detail, I think we should recognise the local retailers who stood up and stepped up during that challenge. And I include postmasters in that as well, because they were and still are local heroes. So the challenge for Payzone, and I'll talk more about how we actually operate, but was to also step up with them. Because as you might imagine, a lot of the FMCG guys and other businesses who support retailers were facing the same challenges, and we were locked down. And I think one of the proudest bits for me is that certainly my field team, and again, we'll cover that off, from day one have been out there in stores, and I count them as my local heroes, really. The business itself has had its strange challenges because both Post Office and Payzone have moved away from the office. So the whole business, and that's many thousands of people, are now working from home. And that again has its challenges, particularly when you're retailer focused. I'm thinking sort of call center, help desks and the field teams, because it's important that we recognize the challenges that the retailers have had and be there for them. The stat that comes out for me, and we're so proud of it in Payzone, is that our service levels through COVID have increased to 96%.
Wow.
So we have been there when the retailers have needed us most. And for the customers who need to know where they pay the bill and how to pay the bill, we've been there. So we've increased the field team through COVID. Well, many businesses actually reduced that.
Yeah.
And they have, as I've said, been on the ground throughout, and the feedback has been tremendous. And it's a lonely high street at times when you're the only man visiting retailers. But I think we'll be recognised for that. And I think the retailers are seeing how we operate as being something new and something exciting. And we've shared that danger with them. We've also, and I think this is an important role we play, because you quite rightly see we're in the community, and as a business, we're there to support the community. And through the social channels of both Post Office and Payzone, we've run some really interesting campaigns. I think you may have remembered with Keep Talking, hashtag Keep Talking, where we've encouraged customers to check in on the neighbours.
Mm-hmm.
We've run the Top Up for Two campaign to try and encourage people who do pay for energy before they use it or use mobile phones to make sure we reduce the number of visits and do more top-ups. And I think for me, leading the retail network, we've run a really successful Retailers on the Front Line campaign. And we've recognised retailers who have gone above and beyond, who have done home deliveries, who have, in many cases, have actually topped up cards and delivered energy to the customers who can't come out and get it, which has been tremendous. We've also supported, I know you're close to MAG,
Yes.
Andrew Goddard and Simon Lambert have been cycling around the country in support.
Yes, I joined them for the London leg a couple of weeks ago. Which was
Oh, well done you. I did Birmingham.
right.
And as you can, it was, I'll call it fun, but it wasn't really that much fun. They've done, generally a tremendous job. And this has all been visiting retailers, both Payzones and post offices. They've raised £15,000 for MAG, which is great. But we've also donated 2,500 meals to local food banks over the past 4 weeks. And that's through our link up with the Trussell Trust, who, as you may know, manage those local food banks.
Yeah.
So I think it has been interesting, but hugely positive from our perspective, because we have had to focus on the retailers and we've had to be there when they've needed us most. And it's easy in a busy business to forget that. You know, how many times do we talk about business and forget to mention the customer?
Yeah.
How many times do we put a new initiative in without sounding that out with retailers? So our retail forum has been really, really good to us because it's kept us honest. And again, if you think we've got Dee Sadani and Ralph Patel as two members on there, you have to listen to guys like that, because if you don't, they'll soon tell you you're not listening. And so
it seems like you've kind of, you were already a community and retailer and postmaster focused company, but it does seem to me like the whole ethos of community has become more important to everybody in this particular crisis. When you look at what's going to happen next in the industry, and we look at the industry as a whole, what does the future look like? And I'm not asking you to bring out your crystal ball, because I know that, hey, listen, if Boris can't tell us what to do next Wednesday, then I'm not asking you what we should be doing in 2021. But what do you think that future looks like for the industry?
Well, interesting. From a Payzone perspective first and wider, I think if you think about our business, we're dealing with and supporting some of the most vulnerable customers in society. People who have to pay for energy before they can use it. They're going to face the first COVID winter in a time when actually we don't really yet know whether retail is going to be busy. We know from a post office perspective that mail's business will go through the roof, and it's likely to be parcel pickups and returns. But we, and this is the whole sector, need to think about those vulnerable customers and how we support them through this. It sounds like doomsday, but the COVID winter might be a real challenge for everybody.
I think you're so right, because I think, to say we were lucky in the last lockdown, that would be very glib of me to say that, but to have that sunshine and to not have to be reliant on putting your heating on for 12 hours a day, and those small differences that are going to happen over the next 3 months compared to that 3 months of full lockdown that we had are going to be a real challenge for businesses, for individuals, and especially for those vulnerable customers. Somebody who was willing to walk out to their local post office in July, might not be in November. And I think we do need to put plans in place for how we look after those people.
Yeah, and we're pretty advanced with those plans. And a lot of it supports some of the previous campaigns, because the post office is different. The post office isn't a place that's full of queues now. But you can imagine there are times through the day where potentially there is queues. Add to that a 2 meter social distance, add to that snow, wind and rain. And these are those customers who need us most at this time. So that for me, we're going to run a campaign that encourages retailers to better understand that market.
Yeah.
Advises customers when the best time to visit a post office or a Payzone store, how best to manage the bills. So perhaps top up less frequently, but top up more. because certainly the key and card energy customers are visiting 3 times a week. 3 poor experiences kind of won't wash with those customers. So we're doing all we can. Looking forward then to the convenience sector, I think it's been a really tough time. And I think back, some stats I've read today suggest that the retail family have lost 100 retailers through COVID. And I think you and I knew Raj Agarwal really well. And it's great to see that the ACS have recognised him through that trophy, which is
Fantastic.
fabulous.
Absolutely, so well deserved.
So again, I mean, we shouldn't and can't forget what a role the retailers have played. But also, it's been a great opportunity, because convenience is exactly what it says on the tin, isn't it? That when people don't want to go out and leave the village or the town or go on to the big retail parks, the convenience stores have been there and have done a tremendous job. The challenge will be, and it's always the same challenge, is the fickle British public, because you start to hopefully see an exit from this, and that strange draw back onto retail estates and big supermarkets will be there. So I think the challenge for us and the challenge for the convenience sector is they've got to continue to innovate. I look at some of the things that have happened, some of the new approaches that the retailers have taken. That's now got to be continual. They've got to, and we've got to support them with this. And certainly people like KAM with research, we've got to help them understand their local customers better. And they've got to use everything at their disposal to engage with those local customers. And that's local events, but primarily there's not enough social interaction through the social media channels. Right. And I think we need to support them to do that better, because it's not a case of running promotions on social media. It is about being part of that community. And I think that's what we've got to play on. I think it's the onus is on us, because this particular sector will need that data and will need that support and will need that guidance. Mm-hmm. And so that again is a challenge for us. I think the role that we'll play in that, I think, is interesting, because clearly Post Office own Payzone, and the sort of objective for us is to forge even stronger links with the Post Office and through. And I'll give you a bit of an exclusive, because nobody's seen what I'm going to show you now, which is
I like an exclusive.
This is the new single Payzone device.
Okay.
So this has touchscreen, energy, key and card top-ups. It takes credit cards, where previously we've had 3 or 4 devices. Now this device will allow us to bring simple Post Office products into the wider convenience network. And I think that's really important, because the local convenience store has to dominate that last mile. And if we can give different services, wider services, and particularly services that will draw people in to those convenience stores, we might have a chance to keep that business where it is. So I'm probably talking a wider parcel proposition. We'll be talking about money transfer on this device. And I think that's where we will play that role, because we've got to keep what is a declining bill payment market alive and well. And we'll only do that by introducing these new products. So I think we can see a huge improvement in what happens in the convenience sector, but that sector can't rest on its laurels. It's got to continue on this same journey, and it will be down to the reason why a customer visits a convenience store. It will be how often they visit, and it will be fulfilling every need from that local customer.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more, Martin. I think you're absolutely right. I think it's a fantastic industry. I think we've done, an outstanding job during lockdown and then coming out of lockdown. But you're right, we can't rest on our laurels. We can't allow the customers that we've won to go back to those big stores and to those big retail. And we also need to make sure that we're constantly improving, because the situation we find ourselves in right now is not finished. It is ongoing, and as consumers adapt to that situation and continue to do so, we need to, as an industry as well, in order to keep them. So Martin Rouse, Retail Director of Payzone. I can't thank you enough for your time. It was really interesting to have a chat with you, and I look forward to catching up with you, maybe in a post office in the real world sometime soon.
Yeah, I hope so. Thank you very much, Katy.